Hey there, Justin Christensen here, the co-founder and president of Conversion Fanatics and the #1 best-selling author of Conversion Fanatic, How to Double Your Customer Sales and Profits with A/B Testing. Now, I reached out onto the social world and asked a few questions on what you guys would like to learn most. And actually, majority of the people came back with, where should you actually start testing? Where in the funnel process should you begin your testing efforts? And today I thought I would pull out the whiteboard and discuss just that. But first we need to take a step back and we need to look at our overall data. We need to dive into analytics, we need to look at some heat maps and click maps, and we need to really find out the trends of what's going on in that particular store or your particular process and flow. And usually you're going to have something already set up and a process and some metrics already in place. Presumably you're going to have some traffic and sales, because without that there's nothing to optimize. So we're going to go into analytics and we're going to look at demographics. We're going to look at mobile versus desktop. Then we're going to look at new versus returning visitors, and we're going to break those down and understand where our biggest fall off points are. So mobile versus desktop, maybe you have a higher conversion rate on desktop, which is usually the case. Usually mobile converts about half as well as desktop in stores that are doing any kind of volume. So we're going to look at some of those trends, and you're going to find out maybe that you have a very high bounce rate on mobile. Then we may need to focus on the mobile side. So you have less engagement. Higher bounce rate means you have less engagement. Maybe the page per session is low on mobile versus desktop, but maybe the majority of your revenue is still on mobile, or maybe you find out that your average order value based on your analytical data is much lower, $20, $30 in some cases lower on mobile than desktop. So we're going to want to focus on the mobile experience rather than the desktop experience as a whole, because the mobile or the desktop experience, a lot of those elements will eventually transfer. So then what we actually want to do to figure this out is look at then the new and returning visitors to figure out, okay, well, return visitors spend more money, they convert at a much higher rate. So maybe we need to focus on the new visitors, which in often cases is 80+% of your overall traffic are the new visitors. But if the majority of your visitors in revenue come from your returning visitors, you might have an issue on helping the visitors that are coming in new, fresh, those unique visitors that are coming in. Maybe they just don't know who you are or what you do. They don't trust you. They're not able to find what they're looking for that was maybe promised in an ad, or there's lacking some consistency there. So we need to, really focus on then those new visitors and create that different experience for the new visitors. Maybe, highlighting some of your best-selling products or helping them find a category in your store that they're looking to find, such as shoes or clothing or accessories. Or, in supplements, maybe it's, gut health or brain health or whatever it might be. They need to be able to filter and find what they're looking for and have a compelling reason to then continue on and see everything that you have to offer. Then from there, if you have this set up, which I highly recommend you do, is have e-commerce tracking set up in your analytics. Because that's going to help you find a lot of information here. And I've got shopping behavior listed out, which that just gives you a graph under conversions, e-commerce, shopping behavior in your analytics platform in Google Analytics. You'll be able to see, all sessions, and then you'll be able to see the step progression all the way down. So sessions with product views, meaning they viewed an actual product in your store, sessions with add to cart, sessions with checkout, and sessions with actual transactions. So you're going to find out what the key drop-off points are in that process. So maybe you have sessions with product views that's quite a bit or quite comparable to all sessions, but then you have a massive drop-off from add to cart. So maybe you have an issue on your product detail page if they're not adding to cart, and then you're going to want to go through and figure out all the reasons why you want to actually test, or what could be the friction point or holdup on that product detail page. It could be trust, it could be the price is confusing, the value isn't there, the images aren't effective, there could be too much clutter on the page, there could be many different reasons, and you want to just come up and make a list of everything that you could possibly think of that will hold those visitors back from doing that, and then you'll create a test hypothesis from there, which we don't need to get into right in this video because I don't want to. I'll save that for a different video. But maybe you find out that all sessions and then you have a huge drop off on product views. Well, then you have an issue on either your homepage or you have an issue on your actual catalog or category pages that aren't allowing visitors to find what they're looking for. Testing filters and testing homepage, we test a lot of things like, having your best sellers and then some category elements. And then on your catalog pages, make sure you have a filter option. Mobile, it's vitally important that you have a filter option. Usually sort by best sellers. And then moving over to the product detail page, removing clutter, high quality images, your price, your value add, your retail price, your brief description, your big bold call to action, and maybe some security elements and some supporting trust elements such as satisfaction guaranteed and free shipping and things like that. And then other recommended products. Then you move on to your cart, and you're going to want to have some recommended products there and test all and figure out what's going on. But it all comes down to the data, and there's really no one-size-fits-all answer for where you should start in your process. You need to figure out where your visitors are falling off, where they're paying attention to, or what they're paying attention to the most, and what they're ignoring in that process, and then figure out all the ways that those friction points could be holding them back. And maybe you have a bunch of add to carts, going back to this, but maybe you have a bunch of add to carts, but then you don't have a lot of sessions to checkout, which means they're adding to cart, but they're not getting past this step. They're not getting over to the checkout page. So you have an issue here. Or maybe you don't have, you have a bunch of views on checkouts, but you have a massive drop off on with transactions, meaning that your checkout page has some major issues. So there's no one size fits all answer, but the data is there if you have analytics set up, and I highly recommend getting a heat map and click map set up, and maybe even setting up a funnel progression within that. I know Hotjar allows for that, to set up a kind of a funnel progression based on your URLs. But you want to look at mobile versus desktop, new versus returning, find some trends, figure out where you need to pay the most attention, figure out your main drop-off points and friction points, then make a major list of exactly what's happening on your store and what kind of friction points you need to remove, or what test ideas you can have to either remove those friction points or add elements that could increase that engagement and increase the calls to action and the desired actions that you wanted them to take. So that's all I got for this video. Hopefully you find it was helpful, and let me know. Comment, share, like this video. I would greatly appreciate it. If you have other questions, feel free to reach out to me. And as always, go over to conversionfanatics.com and request your free analysis if you'd like some third-party fresh eyes on your store and your data to figure out where you're falling short. So we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.